Okay, so you might have heard me talk in some of my regular classes about the way that we're moving the spine and why it's important. I'm just going to recap some of that and go into why it's actually even more important in pregnancy. So if you imagine, I'm just going to draw the spine for you. So as I'm facing this way on, okay, if you imagine if you could take an x-ray of my spine now, certainly if I was standing, imagine I'm standing up, here's my neck, and then as it comes down towards my rib cage, my spine just naturally has a little curve in this direction, so it kind of moves towards the back of my rib cage, and we call that your thoracic spine. And then as it comes down to my lower back, it kind of curves a little bit the other way, like that. So this is called your lumbar curve. Now, when you're born, you've just got these nice natural curves, and your spine is designed to move in all directions. So your spine can curve this way, it can move the opposite way, and you can rotate, you can twist, you can slide. Now, as we sit through our life, so once you go to school, you're kind of sitting a little bit more in this position. Your spine is holding this kind of shape for long periods of time, for several hours at a time, maybe if you're driving. So gradually this curve where your rib cage is can become a little bit sticky, a little bit stuck in that position. So a lot of the cueing that I'm using in classes is to allow this to actually move the opposite way to try and release some of the tightness that can build up in the muscles and in the joints in your spine. And when it comes to pregnancy, this becomes even more important because once you add in the weight of the baby, it pulls your lumbar spine even more into that kind of shape. Okay, and that can often be why you start to get backache because the baby's there, you can't kind of round your lower back in a way that you normally would. But we'll work on ways in the classes to help you to get that release. So the other thing that you can do is to work on releasing. If you're kind of fixed and quite tight here, that can contribute to that tightness in your lower back. So by easing the upper back out of this position that it loves to be in and introducing more range of movement and stretching, then that can take away some of the pressure that comes into your lower back that can end up, you can get some aches and pains towards the end of your pregnancy. Now there's another reason why it's really important as well. So going back to the idea that because we spend a lot of time sitting, it affects not just your back, but all muscles all throughout your body. It can create that pressure on your lower back a bit like we get in pregnancy. So your lower back can end up a little bit more curved because this bit's getting more tight here. I hope that makes sense. Now what that leads to, you have some important tissues down the front of your abdomen that help to hold your muscles together. So you don't have any skeleton here. You've got lots of skeleton around your ribs, around your shoulders, but actually here where all your organs are, there's no skeleton. But what you do have is a really strong piece of tissue that acts a little bit like a skeleton to allow the muscles to attach. Now, because of our lifestyle, because we're sitting a lot, what can happen is that your lower back naturally has a little bit more of maybe an exaggerated curve. There's tightness in different parts of your body, and so pressure can start to build on these tissues that sit at the front of your abdomen. Then you add pregnancy into the mix as well, and those tissues get stretched even more. So if you think about blue tack, and if you had a lot of pressure on it and you stretched it, eventually the blue tack would kind of lose some of its elasticity. And that's what can happen. And it's not really being caused by pregnancy, because this is something that can affect men, it can affect women who've not had a baby. But often pregnancy can contribute to that. So you get what's called a diastasis recti. So part of what we're going to be doing throughout your pregnancy classes and also postnatally is looking at ways that we can take some of the pressure off the tissues down your midline. So looking at ways to help open up your upper back, open up your lower back, so that your skeleton can work the way it's supposed to, so that those tissues at the front of your abdomen aren't under quite so much pressure. So yeah, that's why. I find it always helps to understand why you're being asked to do something. Often it means that you end up doing a bit better. So hopefully that made sense. If you need to ask me anything at any time, then please do just get in touch. Thank you.